I've been really wanting to buy the LEGO Barad door set, but that price tag makes me wince every time I think about it. So instead, today we'll be revamping all of my Lord of the Rings orcs, and we'll also be making some small armies for each of them. To start, I think we should take a look at the uruk. The original uruk minifigures are probably my favorite of all of the ones that LEGO made back in the day. It got the right amount of detail, and these helmets that they made for them are basically perfect. They match super well to what we see in the movies, and I don't think they could really do any better today. I actually only have 2 of the original uruk orcs in my collection, but I want to show you a way that I found to make some custom ones really easily. All you have to do is grab some plain dark red arms and torsos, and you can simply add a breastplate piece to it, and now you have an extra fig. Now, to really stretch out the 2 minifigures that I've got, I've taken the legs and head from one of them to add to the plain fig. This makes him feel more like the original figure, even though he's missing the printed torso. We'll also give him some accessories like the shield and helmet that are both printed with the white hand of Isengard. I think this guy looks great, and again, you can't tell that this guy doesn't have the original torso. Now, the other guy, we obviously need to give him a head, but I don't want to use the only other uruk one in my collection. So, I've given him this orc-looking head from Star Wars. It's not exactly the right color, but if we add another helmet to him, I think he looks fine. Okay, so we've got our 2 armored orcs done. Now let's take a look at the guys that I made with the original torsos. This one, again, is using that same Star Wars head with a helmet, but he's also got the original torso and a custom-built polearm. And finally, I think it makes sense for our last uruk to be Lurtz. So I've taken the original head, torso, and legs as the base, that will then add this black hairpiece to and a bow. The black hair isn't exactly perfect to what we see in the movie, but I think it's close enough. And now we have my pseudo uruk battle pack. Obviously it's missing a build, but maybe I'll make some kind of siege weapon or maybe even an orc forge for them at some point. Now next up, I'd like to take a look at my Mordor orcs. This is a much larger army compared to my uruk, and that's just because they came in a lot more sets. The 2 original figs that they made back in the day are pretty decent, but they're lacking armor and variety in my opinion. The uruk figures really nailed the movie look, but I think these guys just fell a little short. Don't get me wrong, the prints are really well done, but they just don't have enough accessories. So I've given my Mordor army a lot of different weapons and armor. I think these old speckled black pieces of armor work really nicely for them, and it reminds me a lot of some of the crude looking armor that we see them wear in the movies. I've also given this guy here a black samurai helmet because I honestly think it works for them. It's definitely a bit strange, but I've placed it a little lopsided on purpose, and I really like how it looks on him. You could really use whatever helmets you have laying around. I think the more variety in your Mordor orcs, the better. Honestly, the Mordor orcs are probably the cheapest and best way to get into orc army building for Lord of the Rings at least, and I think they're pretty easy to customize into a more movie accurate looking army. Anyways, next let's take a look at a couple of one-off characters and my Gundabad orcs. I only have 2 Gundabad orcs, and honestly, I don't really want any more of them. They're fine, just not exactly one that I want to army build. Also, if you're wondering where my Moria orcs are, they're all hung up in my regular LEGO Castle orc army because they share the same skin tone as the castle ones. And finally, we have my 2 named orcs in Azog and that guy from the Hobbit movies that no one remembers. The Azog fig is honestly one of my favorites from the Hobbit sets. They've really captured his look from the movies, and the extra height that you get from his custom molded head is just fantastic. And that's all the figs in my collection. I would really love to get some more uruk at some point, but I'll most likely never buy any more unless LEGO releases some kind of new affordable way to get them. Because as I'm sure you know, the old ones are way too expensive. With that being said, if you've got any ideas for more ways for me to stretch my uruk army, please let me know in the comments because I'm looking to make some more of these guys. And as always, thank you so much for watching.